Town Council meeting, Town of Indian River Shores. We'll call the meeting to order, and if we can start with the invocation, Councilman Carroll.
We're thankful for this town and its residents. We're grateful for all who work for the betterment of our community and all who serve on its behalf. Let those who work here and those who serve here be ever mindful of the town's vision and mission statement. Grant this council the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, personal peace in our lives, and joy in our task. Amen.
Amen. If you will join us in pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, home of the free because of the free. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. If you can call the roll.
Mayor Foley.
Here.
Vice Mayor Atwater.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Altieri.
Here.
Let the record show all members are present with the exception of Councilmember Dane.
All right, and Councilmember Dane has an excused absence. Item number 2, agenda reordering, deletions, or emergency additions. Are there any items from council regarding item 2? If not, we can have a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Presentations and proclamations. This is the 18th annual Treasure Coast Waterways Cleanup Week. We've been asked to proclaim this. Is anybody here to receive the proclamation on behalf of Treasure Coast Waterways? No? Okay. In that event, we will simply say that the Town of Indian River Shores does hereby proclaim that July 19 to 27, 2025 is observed as Treasure Coast Waterway Cleanup Week. Let's all do our best to keep our waterways clean. Thank you very much. Moving now to item number 4. Are there any comments from the public regarding any of the items on the agenda? All right, there being none, we will move to the consent agenda. I don't see any needs for a roll call vote. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Mayor's report. A couple of quick items. The governor has signed lots of bills. My last count last night was, I think, 124 bills, and there are probably 20 more in the hopper.
As of yesterday, late, and a lot of them are local bills, it's up to 189.
Okay, so he signed a whole bunch of them since I last checked. I've asked our town attorney, as per our normal procedure, to summarize any bills that are signed into law that have any particular impact on us as a community and as a government. I think we've done a pretty good job reporting from council, keeping up to date on the bills that are of potential impact to the town government and our residents. I see there is an item that one of our council people will be addressing in particular, but we can look for a further exposition of this from our town attorney. But we've talked about these over the past several months. Fortunately, some of the more alarming items did die. Unfortunately, some alarming items did not die. So we're going to have to be kind of vigilant in making sure that we are compliant. In that regard, in particular, the condo safety bill, which we adopted an ordinance first reading last meeting, has been signed into law. So our anticipation was well deserved. And we will be doing the second reading of that. So we are now in a position to be compliant with the unfunded mandate next week. So they gave us plenty of time. They gave us 4 days basically to get our act in order. If we had not anticipated this, likely we would not have had an ordinance in place to be compliant. So just something for Tallahassee to think about in the future. Finance Committee did their good work on the budget draft outline, their initial work. I don't think they're going to be doing a second pass on this. We must have a really good budget, because for the first time since I've been here, we have not received a narrative, detailing items to have council think further about, and we will be having our budget meeting, budget workshop meeting on July 24th. That will begin at 8:30 a.m. So for council, we will start early, 8:30 a.m. We've budgeted a half an hour. If by any chance we go over, we can adjourn the budget workshop, have our regularly scheduled council meeting start at 9 and then come back to it. Based upon years past, I don't think that will be necessary. So thanks to everyone on council for doing the homework ahead of time so that we go right to the wheat and separate the chaff. Let's see. Hurricane season started in June. Since our last town council meeting, the town provided information for residents who received a number of compliments from residents thanking us for that annual mailing. Those of us who are here for many years tend to see them and kind of get the picture, but it's particularly important for folks who haven't been here during hurricane season to see the common sense things that you need to think about and prepare for ahead of time. So it was a reminder that good work on our administration for putting this information out. With that, I will yield to council member items on number 7 unless there are any questions for me from council. All right, council member items.
No.
Somebody put a memo up. So let's. Was that you?
A memo up?
On a bill?
I thought we covered that during the town attorney.
Okay, all right.
Section. I had given Pete a heads up on it. No, what I want to talk about just briefly is I've been trying to get a pedestrian crosswalk, activated crosswalk down by the town's path along Surf Edge that goes out to the beach park, Tracking Station Park. As I think everybody knows, that area down there has a lot of cross traffic between the CVS, the 7-Eleven, and now we have a new development that is being built behind the 7-Eleven. I received a call from the Metropolitan Planning Organization staff director at the county. So the MPO is the transportation planning for the county. He in turn received a phone call that the FDOT is going to put that in at no cost to the town, and that the sidewalk would be extended down from where that is down to the 7-Eleven and CVS. Now, I haven't gotten a written acknowledgement of that currently, but the individual down at the FDOT District 4 headquarters in Fort Lauderdale indicated that's going to take place, and supposedly it's going to be done during fiscal year 2026, which is absolutely light speed getting any highway project done. And I think that will result in that path being used more to be safer for people at that end of town. Unfortunately, we had a woman about 100 yards or so was killed trying to cross there back in 2023. So I'll report back when I get the final written acknowledgement. But I think that's a good thing for the town. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. That's, safety is our highest priority, and it's a dangerous situation now. We can only imagine what it's going to be after increased traffic. We also, thank you for reminding me, we had some inquiries from members of the public regarding sidewalk repaving, and I've referred those items over to the town manager as he's in contact with the county. The county has responsibility for that road between CVS and 7-Eleven, so hopefully there can be some kind of coordination either between the county and FDOT. So it's not the town's responsibility, nor should it be, to pay for repaving those sidewalks, but to the extent that they're in a dangerous condition, Mr. Harpring will be following up on that, and I know you're, Vice Mayor, in contact with our town manager frequently as well on this. So thank you very much. Any other council member items? There being none, we will go to item 8, which are items with discussion with possible or probable action. Item 8A is ordinance number 579, mandatory structural inspections for condominium and cooperative buildings. This is the second reading. I alluded to it in my report. And last meeting, I think Mr. Held mentioned that we have, is it 1 or 2 buildings in the town only? You don't need to come up. I think it's 1 or 2? 2, sir. Okay. All right, so Mr. Town Attorney, if you would do the magic reading so that we can have our...
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. We don't have a lot of members of the public, but does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing no public comment, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second? Second. Is there any further discussion by council? If there is no further discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Foley?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Atwater?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll? Aye. Councilmember Altieri? Aye. Let the record show the motion passes 4-0 unanimously.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Item 8B, approval of the fiscal year 2025-2026 employee health, dental, and life insurance plan. Mr. Harpering, can you explain this and the requested item for action, as well as your best guesstimate of the costs?
Will do. Council, in sum, we have been able to secure the same level of coverage for our employees with the same provider, Florida Blue, at a flat rate. So there's been no increase in the insurance rates for health or AD, accidental death dismemberment. However, we will realize a 15.1% savings in the rates for dental. So in that regard, it's been beneficial to the town. We were provided with a number of different options from our broker, Brown & Brown, and in the end, essentially stayed with this. Relative to cost, without going into great detail, I'll just note that all of the detailed costs are in the attachment, but again, from a budgetary standpoint, there'll be no increase. There'll be that 15.1% decrease in the dental. So that's where we are, Council.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Harpering on this item? All right, well, thank you for giving teeth to that report. Nobody picked up on that, the reduction in dental health and giving teeth to the report. So, all right, it's not my day. It's not my room. Okay. Do we need a roll call vote on this? We don't. I think we just need an acclamation. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. There being no opposition, it's a unanimous pass. Item 8C, Schedule 2025-2026 budget public hearing dates. Just to remind council and members of the public, these are statutory. We'd like to do them at different times of the year perhaps, but we can't because we have windows within which we must conduct these meetings, and even specific times. There are also requirements for some items to have a supermajority, which in our instance has 4 members. So we need to make sure we're all available if possible on these dates. So does the town clerk or the town manager wish to address this item?
We would just like to change the September 18th date to September 16th, if that's possible.
All right, September 8th to the 16th?
18th, yep. It was the 18th.
Okay.
To the 16th, which is...
So this is the second change we've made.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor, since this document came out, some other items came up, so we're just trying to coordinate that. After we originally set our dates, The school district set their date, which resulted in sort of a cascading series of events relative to availability.
Oh, okay, so you had already brought this to our attention, so this isn't the second time that we're doing it. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
And that's fine, with the exception of the Thursday, September 18th date that is in the document right now, that is in the agenda item, we are asking the council to amend that to the 16th, which would be a Tuesday, September 16th. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Right. So, yeah, I think you did alert us to this, and that's because we're not able to have one of the elements of the Kabuki dance is we're not allowed to have our budget meeting at the same time another entity is having its budget meeting in the county. So 501, the 16th, does that work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Altieri? Yes. You good on that? All right. And other than that, the dates will stay the same?
Just noting the Thursday, September 23rd at 5:01. That'll be our second final budget hearing date.
Thursday the 25th? Or Tuesday the 25th?
Tuesday the 23rd.
Yeah, okay.
Tuesday, the 23rd is the second public hearing at 5:01 after the regular council.
Right. Okay, so we're having a council meeting at 3:30 and then the budget meeting to follow thereafter, 5:01. All right, great. Anything else on this? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. All right, terrific. We're moving right along here today. Item 9A, staff updates, building official report and statistics. Mr. Held?
Good morning, everyone. I don't have anything additional to add for last month's monthly report. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Anything for Mr. Held? No? Well, except, thank you. I think we all were circulated an item highlighting the ease with which even you deliver bad news to people, but thank you for your good work. It's not very common that building departments get accolades, and we get them from time to time. So your attention to customer service, we have, we don't differentiate here between, members of the public. We call them customers, and your customer service is greatly appreciated and a wonderful reflection on the town. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
9B, code enforcement report. Jake, unfortunately, I don't think you get many accolades, but that's just the nature of your business. So.
That's fine. Good morning. I have only one update to the report, which is not on your provided one. Just the next sea turtle lighting survey is scheduled for July 22nd. And that'll be the final one for this year.
Mr. Mayor, if I just make a note on that, I think the transition in a variety of different areas to in-housing our code enforcement in those items with Inspector Mike Krantz has been great. Especially, this is a very interesting example because in some years past, there have been high double-digit violations in the turtle lighting piece throughout the season. We're down to 4. It could be less now, compliance-wise, because of the manner in which we're doing the surveys and the manner in which Jake is communicating with folks and really, trying to educate them, encourage them. So he does occasionally get a comment, which is complimentary, and that's great for code enforcement. But I did want to note that in that regard as well.
Thank you very much, and yes, thank you for the good work. And it's not our intention to punish people and say gotcha. It's our intention to educate, encourage, and then as a last resort enforce. So thank you for following up on that.
Thank you.
Item 9C, Public Works Department. Mr. Harpering?
There's nothing additional outside of the report at this time. I would just note that we continue with our in-house training. You'll note that on item 13 on the memo, we were in-housing our illicit discharge training and all of those types of things. It's really very beneficial on a variety of different levels. But other than that, there's nothing outside of the memo. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to try to provide answers.
All right, anything for Mr. Harpring on Public Works? Just say the anchor looks great. Finally got that icon of our town repaired and prominently displayed after the work that was done last year. Item 9D, Town Treasurer Report. Ms. Christmas is taking a well-deserved rest, I take it, today, and if you can kindly update us and give us any items of interest.
Certainly, I'm a very poor substitute for Ms. Christmas in terms of the report. I won't speak outside of the finance report and the budget analysis that we have, along with the finance update. Though, Mr. Mayor, Council, I would like to amplify your comments about the budget, the finance process, the finance committee. It's always great working with Heather. She's got a complete command of the numbers in the town, and other than that, I don't have any additional information outside of those reports.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harpring. And yes, and just for the public's edification, for whoever may be watching this, we do stay very much on top of this stuff. So, you know, our monthly updates are at a minimum, and any council member is free to ask the finance department or the town manager about any matters relating to finance, and we are briefed on individual items as they arise. So rest assured, we do our best to stay on top of this and meet all our deadlines and all of the things that are required of us. Item 9E, Public Safety Department Report and Statistics. Chief.
Good morning. We've gone through a series of audits from a number of different outside agencies over the past 30 days or so. Florida Department of Law Enforcement came in and did what's known as a David audit for us. They found no discrepancies in that audit, and we passed through that without any difficulty. This past week, we had an EMS compliance audit from the EMS office out of Tallahassee. No findings in that audit either, so we flew through that one. We had a ISO evaluation, Insurance Service Organization evaluation, and that was about 2 weeks ago, and we're awaiting the results for that to come back. Was a different learning process for me. I've been through probably 10 ISO audits in my career, and they're all of them are painful, to be perfectly honest with you. Because of we don't manage the water system in our municipality. It's actually managed by the city of Vero. We probably are going to run into to a mild hit. They gave us a year to correct it, but it had to do with maintenance of fire hydrants and those types of things. So we'll get caught up on that, but we're not going to see a change in the insurance premiums for anybody in the town, I don't believe. And finally, we had a picnic for all the public safety employees. Thank you very much, the mayor. But thanks for all the vendors out there that actually chipped in and donated items for the food truck and the hot dogs and some of the things that went along with it. And got a great turnout, and a lot of our staff from public safety showed up, and we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Anything
for the chief?
Yes, sir.
Chief, could you just brief me on I know we lost an ambulance to fire. Do we expect to, I saw a note, it's just not clear to me whether we expect to replace it in fiscal 25, or is that going to be delayed?
Well, it's right now we're dealing with the insurance companies, and we've pulled together all the information, and Mr. Harpring's going to be talking to the insurance company, I believe today or tomorrow, in the next couple of days. And there was an off between what their estimate was and what our actual costs were. And we're working through all those processes now. Now, we've gone back and taken a hard look at what we actually need and what we can do. If we order an ambulance today, 2.5 to 3 years for it to come in. And that's just simply because the market, there's only so many manufacturers, and especially the units that we buy. It takes a while to get those processed through. We have talked internally, and we're getting the final pricing on that over the next week or so, about doing what's known as a rechassis. The box, the back of the ambulance itself, where the patient compartment is, has a lifetime warranty on those. So we'll send one of our old units back up to the manufacturer, and they'll lift the box up, completely strip it from the paint, pull all the wiring out of it, rewire it, relight it, do everything that has to be done to it, drop that down on a new cabin chassis, and at about 70% of what a new ambulance costs.
So is that a decommissioned box that you're talking about, or?
Yeah, it's the unit we were going to replace, and what I'm doing now is trying to see if I can find a backup unit that we may be able to get, talking to the county or one of our other partners out there. So, but we're still working through that process about how to replace that unit right now.
So is this likely to be a zero-sum event for us once all of the insurance proceeds are taken into consideration, or is this going to require some kind of a capital expense for us with respect to the new ambulance?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you very well. I'm sorry.
The loss of the ambulance is going to be covered in part or fully by insurance. Right. So I'm just wondering whether it's fully or in part going to be covered, and whether or not we're going to have to make up a difference.
Chief, if I may. Councilmember, in the end, I just met with the chief and Assistant Chief French yesterday on this topic. So in the end, if we go with the alternative relative to taking the chassis that we have, completely rebuilding it, rewiring it, making it like new, putting it on a new, the box, putting it on a brand new chassis, we're looking at substantially less time and less cost than the original investment. So it may be, if we can work this out, it will be less cost, less time in terms of getting that operational. So it may be a net gain.
But is that an interim resolution, or?
That'll be the replacement ambulance. That will not be interim. I think the interim that the chief referred to was, while that rebuild is being done, we will coordinate, cooperate with one of our local partners to ensure that we have the backup equipment, the secondary and tertiary equipment that we need.
Would we be able to go to a different contractor, not use the one that burned the current one to the ground?
I'll defer to the chief on that. I mean, contractor does all of that. I mean, they do all that work. I can't account for what the actual error or detail was in terms of the mistake that they made, but I'll defer on that.
We'll try to have the radio installed at the factory.
I'm sorry?
We'll try to have the radio installed at the factory when they do the rechassis.
Okay. I mean, you and I had an offline conversation. It seemed like we're having some conflict with them right now. That maybe that's going to get worked out, but or can I ask one other question here?
Sure.
Okay. You mentioned the fire hydrants, that we got dinged on that by the ISO about maintenance. So who is responsible for the maintenance on that? Is it the city of Vero Beach because they provide us water service?
They own the system. Yes, sir. We're not responsible.
Okay.
I have never been responsible for maintenance of fire hydrants in my entire career.
Okay.
Over multiple jurisdictions. It's never been the responsibility of the fire and the public safety department. That's
Okay, so by definition, the town as well. So have we reached out to the city of Vero Beach about these issues with the city manager there, Falls, and utilities director Bolton, and brought this to their attention? And have we gotten a response?
They are fully aware, and they have responded, and their response to us is that over the next 2 years, every hydrant within the town will actually go through a maintenance process with an outside vendor that they have hired. So it's going to take them 2 years to get the complete cycle done.
Okay, so
then we're going to have to step up and do a few things prior to that.
So you said in your your discussion on this earlier, that the ISO said we had to fix it in a year.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen.
We'll have our part of it fixed, and that's
Right, I understand there's parts out of control, but,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, and that's the part that has to do with flow rates and flow testing and those types of things.
Okay.
We'll go out and take care of that.
In your view, is this a big safety issue?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
The city's been fairly responsible. We have one that gets dinged in a wreck or something like that to come out and do a repair on it. So as far as, water supplies and those types of things, I think we're in fairly good shape.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we do have, just on the ambulance, just to remind, we do have replacement value. That's the insurance coverage on it. So I'm sure you can keep us advised individually, as this fluid situation happens. It's never a pleasant thing when one of your new ambulances spontaneously combusts, but as we work through this, I think it's very important that we keep in mind that we will have our primary and a backup, and our intergovernmental agreements, do provide comfort for us as we provided assistance to them. They will provide assistance to us. So, no need for the public to be alarmed. Your safety will be well looked after and seamless as we work through this. So, is there anything else for the chief? If not, I have one item. Just wanted to point out. I think all council may have been copied on this. That at least this is the first time I've seen it. The state attorney actually wrote to us thanking our public safety department for the outstanding work that assisted in a prosecution of a fairly well-publicized vehicular homicide, and it was a source of great pride for me, and I'm sure council, that we acted with the professionalism we did, to the point where the state attorney would be prompted to write accolades and basically thanking us for making his job easier. So have you ever seen that before, Mr. Harpring? You've been around these parts, so.
Infrequently, when they take that affirmative step, it was great to hear, and I know the assistant state attorney well, and it was well placed.
Great, thank you. So keep up the good work. Town attorney report, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just a very quick briefing on the budget as part of the legislative process. Just very quickly, the budget was formally finally passed by the state legislature, but as of my checking this morning, it still has not been transmitted to the governor. And the only reason why I bring that up for your information is, one, if you were to get questions about it, it is being reported, and the governor has made statements that he certainly can veto items. He's suggested vetoing approximately $500 million from the $115 billion budget. But we shall see. Importantly, the budget is retroactive, so should he not actually sign it until after the 1st of July, it would be retroactive. But again, that's the status of that. As we talked about earlier in the mayor's report, approximately 190 bills, many of which are local designations of roads and such in other counties have been passed. However, there are a couple of note, and Vice Mayor has provided me two, so I'm happy to talk through those. I'd like to talk in reverse order from the documentation that was provided here, if that's all right, Councilman? Vice Mayor, I should say. So on CSSB 1080, local government land regulation, I do not believe there is anything for the town to do, much like we just undertook in our second reading earlier in this meeting. The regulation updates are much more procedural in nature, and Mr. Held and the building department are well aware of it. We talk about, but it'll be process and procedure, providing notification information to applicants. One of the benefits, certainly, of the town being developed as it is, we're approximately 98% built out, maybe even higher than that, as I understand it. So many of these types of development orders would not necessarily be applicable, just because they require a scale of over 10 acres in some cases. And again, Mr. Held and the department are well aware of it. We routinely talk about if there's any implications, but I don't believe on 1080 there will be anything necessarily for the town to do. On CSSB 1620, which you see here is beaches and has been provided to you. Importantly, and I'll pass this out, The main thrust of this legislative effort, thank you very much, is the repeal of a statute which was passed in 2018, and there should be one extra copy for Madam Clerk. Oh, maybe two. This was a statute, I'm passing it out so you can see what was repealed. It is no longer the law as of the execution of this new statute, but previously in 2018, this 163.035 was passed, and it was an action relating to sort of the upland area between the mean high water line and private property. And it was created a new legal framework to adjudicate what's called customary use. And customary use in Florida had been this principle for many, many, many decades, that if the public had been using it for fishing, walking, and basically public activities, it defaulted to customary public use, even though it could have technically been on private property above and shoreward of the mean high water line. What this 2018 statute did was say, if a county, mostly county, and this certainly happened here in Indian River County, wants to confirm those customary use areas, they would have to file litigation on a parcel by parcel basis. This new law that was just passed takes that requirement away, so it's no longer required that you have to file, and again, this is mostly county oriented to determine customary use, so it won't be required. There's a much more permissive way for counties and agencies to be able to determine customary use. The other thing is, and it's not really applicable to our area, is it establishes, if they haven't been established, mean high water line and erosion control, and mostly is effective within the Gulf counties. But even then, there's a limitation. If you were to look on the second part of that, it really only applies to a county with 3 municipalities and a population of less than 275,000, excluding inmate population. So again, very limited population. It's really oriented towards the Gulf Coast in the Panhandle and northwest sections of Florida. But it's a response to this previous legislation, and it's a good reminder, Mayor and Council, that we see legislative efforts get passed, and then subsequently they get modified and in some cases repealed. Another example that's not really too relevant to the town is the change of school start times. There was a legislative effort approximately 2 years ago saying all school start times, high school and middle school, would change, and there was such a pushback from many of the school districts throughout the state that they completely removed that this year. So in effect, I do not believe this new statute under 1622 requires the town to do anything. But again, in talking with Mr. Harpring and certainly our outside contractors when it comes to mean high water line, we've had those established. Erosion control lines for this county have already been established, and if there were any subsequent change to this legislation, we would work with the County Natural Resources Department, who would be our liaison. In sum, that's my report. I don't have anything else to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I was the one that asked Pete to take a look at this, because the way the legislation is written, it's kind of hard to follow other than the first one. The others are repealed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you're saying, you don't believe we have to do anything, and my concern was if we did, that we would maybe think about doing it relatively quickly to be grandfathered, because you never know when the next set of state legislators come in and flip this thing completely back around. The one thing I'm trying to figure out, and maybe it's not a question you can answer on the new statute, is under Section 2, subsection 3. It says the Department of Environmental Protection may proceed with beach restoration projects for any area designated by the department's critically eroded and the critically eroded beaches in Florida report dated August 2024. And it states that notwithstanding section 161 blah blah blah, beach restoration projects conducted pursuant to this section do not require a public easement. And maybe this is something I have to bring up over with the county. Does that mean we don't have to get permissions like we had to do to get 90% sign-offs from people arrayed along Sector 4 in order to get our great beach restoration project done. Do you have any read on that at this point, or maybe it's too early?
I think it's early, but I would say two things. One, I think that the idea behind this was in response to previously the 2018 law effectively shifted the burden to a county or an agency saying, you need to prove that this was for public use. And therefore, instead of going through litigation and saying that that area was for public use, that's where counties such as Indian River County came in and said, we're not going to file lawsuits that cost a lot of money. We're just going to ask the property owners to give us an easement.
Okay.
This dovetails with the fact and idea that you no longer need to sue and declare on a parcel by parcel basis the customary use. Instead, you could do it because it's now swung back. The default position is it would be customary use. The property owner would have to push back on it, and therefore maybe an easement is not necessary. Okay. The second part, and it's a I believe, uniquely worded statute, much like the legislation. But if you look in...
Well, I love you lawyers, uniquely worded.
If you look immediately below that...
It's crappily
Number 4 says this section applies to counties located to... And what you would do then is see, well, it's saying this section. We look up, the section is on the previous page, section 2. So my reading of this is all of this only applies to Gulf counties with those municipalities.
So then, in theory, the county would still have to go to try to get those easements?
It's probably still best practice because you'd have a document that would be recorded in the public records forever, regardless of this legislation ever changes.
All right, thank you.
But I do think, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, the discussion with Beach and Shores and the representatives of the county who are our lead agency generally on beach restoration is probably appropriate to talk to them.
Yes, well, that's why I brought it up, because I'm the chair back there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
I believe during debate, one of the representatives referred to this as the get off my lawn statute.
Yes, sir.
So, and you know, I think one of the things to keep in mind is that in our area in particular, we have very restricted beach access. Yes, so sir. It's not, there's a natural retardant against, you know, having the kinds of problems of, you know, spring breakers crashing your beach and setting up a picnic table.
And to follow that, Mr. Mayor, a lot of the Gulf beaches, if you've been up, especially through the Panhandle, are very flat. So to determine where the mean high water line is versus maybe your property line, it may be 100 yards. Here, I don't believe there's 100 yards of beach frontage anywhere in the county.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Anything else on this item? I think this is a good time. The council has been distributed a letter concerning website publications, and let me try to simplify this. We, in other municipalities, have to spend an awful lot of money publishing in newspapers notices that nobody ever looks at. The legislature in the past authorized counties to basically adopt a mechanism through a website where municipalities there and in the county could use a electronic publication, thus saving substantial amounts of money. So I've written to the county administrator and will copy the county commissioners on this. It's not a very difficult process to follow. Somebody's 18-year-old kid could do it in a weekend, setting up the website. Probably less than a day. Should this not bear fruit, I'm prepared on the beginning of the fall to then schedule some meetings with the county commissioners individually and say this is a real piece of low-hanging fruit here. You know, if you want to save money and cut out some, come out some costs and benefit your taxpayers, and actually reach people who are supposed to be looking for these notices, as opposed to having to hunt through any of a number of publications where they're buried somewhere between high school sports and classified ads. This would achieve that purpose. So that's what this is all about. If there are any objections to me sending this letter, or if you have any modifications, I know this group. I will have no problems with whatever modifications you may make to it before it goes out today. So please feel free to give them over to the town attorney or Mr. Harpering.
I'll just say thank you. This is a good idea. I had brought this up with the previous county administrator and county attorney, and they pushed back saying all sorts of legal risks that they had, which I could never, they just didn't want to do it, is what it came down to. So
Yeah, well, we could have a seminar on sovereign immunity, particularly since it's been delegated from the legislature, so I don't really understand. I'd heard that same thing. Thank you, Vice Mayor, but we'll do our best for our taxpayers and the taxpayers of the county to save money where it is. Particularly, you know, we've got this Doge entity now, so, you know, I wonder if they would be fairly interested in hearing this. This is, again, a very easy way to save taxpayer money. We're just throwing it out the window. Any comments on that? Any reservations or?
The only thing I would say, Mr. Mayor, Council, is that the statute was passed in 2022, and maybe the first year it might have been a little bit scary for somebody to implement it, but as you said, it's been around for almost 4 years now, and there's certainly other places that are doing it, and it's not that hard.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I should say too, I intend to reach out to the other mayors to bring this to their attention and see if we can all get on board for this. Thank you. Town Manager report, Mr. Harpering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one minor point I'd like to add to that. If you do go to the Palm Beach County website, it's very interesting because their link has not only municipalities but also special management districts, everything. And just to amplify Councilmember Atwater's point, we had discussed this with the county previously on a number of occasions, and it seems pretty straightforward. So we're prepared to assist in any way to help the county along. But thank you for your support, Council, in helping us move this along. We think it'll be a great cost savings across the board. Other than that, I don't have anything additional to add.
Okay, anything for the Town Manager? All right, Council Committee reports. Again, this is the summer season, so other than the occasional local government barbecue and things like that, we don't have a heck of a lot going on, but I'll ask anyway. Did Mr. Altieri?
There was not a Utilities Committee meeting, but there is one next week. I'll be out of town. I think Vice Mayor is going to cover in my absence.
All right, thank you. I know Councilman Dane was planning on going to the joint meeting with our town clerk. I'm not sure who else is coming, but everybody's invited to it. You can check on the date, and I plan on going to that as well. Other than that, no meetings were held on any of the committees I'm on. Vice Mayor?
I have a presentation, just one presentation, but in 52 parts. So, no, I just want to very, very quickly go through the most recent MPO meeting. This is the most important meeting of the year, where they go through and look at all the road projects and assign priorities for those projects basically on pretty much a 5-year cycle. So believe me, I will go quick, but I think it's important for people just to understand the process. So as this slide indicates, it's a rolling 5 years, and by multimodal, it handles bike and pedestrian, it handles roadways that we use in the county, and then what they call strategic roads, which essentially is I-95 here. So you could flip to the next page, please. So there's a series of process that they can do. You could hit the whole thing. So essentially, we have, the MPO has meetings where they come up with long-term transportation plans. You're going a little too quick. Okay. And bike and pedestrian and plans. We assign priorities to those things and then wrap them into a FDOT 5-year program, gets approved by the MPO, and then it gets approved by the Federal Highway Works Administration, Federal Transportation Agencies. The MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, other counties call it the Transportation Planning Organization, is required by federal law in order to get federal highway money. So it's a pretty important committee in order to make sure that we get our cut of money. Next slide, please. So, so as I mentioned, years 1 to 4 year, basically rolling plans forward each year. The 5th year is you're setting up new priorities, and it's had some interesting meetings where people new on board want to have their project moved to the front of the line, and you can imagine who that person might have been. So, and they had to be explained it doesn't work that way. Next slide, please. So this is the process that goes on when a new highway project or bridge, in the case of Sebastian Inlet District, is being done. And so, you know, to me, on the outside, being pretty frustrated about how long it takes things to get done. But I just wanted to put this slide up to indicate that it's a pretty tough process from a time perspective to get done, but just gives you a sense of all the different steps that have to occur. Next slide. Okay. These two following slides, I just want to show the pictures on it. So we have 510 up here at the end of the town. 510 is going to be reconstructed all the way out to 512. The first section is going to be essentially from just near when you cross over the bridge, the Intracoastal, over to across the Brightline / Florida East Coast Railroad tracks. So what the slide shows is there's going to be a overpass. It's going to be actually a pretty cool project. It's going to speed things along. What the project is going to do as well is it's going to take the bridge, the overpass, and go all the way across the tracks, so you won't get stuck by Brightline coming through and so forth. So if you look at this slide here, the top of the slide is east toward the ocean, and then obviously west inland there. So it's going to be a pretty cool project. Next. Sorry, Keith. Yeah. It's actually, you see this white building in the foreground? Yeah, I think right in front of that, as you're looking of it, or lower on the page, is the railroad track there. Yeah, so it's... Yes, that's correct, yeah.
When is that going to happen?
Well...
Within 5 years?
Yeah, I think essentially around 5 years without delays, yes. Yeah. So, okay, next slide, please. The other one that's going to be pretty important is Aviation Boulevard. As I think anybody knows, when you get on Aviation Boulevard past the airport, it's a real mess. They're going to widen that out. And the idea is Aviation Boulevard becomes 26th Street, and down the line, and hopefully I'll be alive to see it, is they're going to expand that all the way out past the Indian River Mall. So that'll be a good alternative to going up State Route 60 to go westbound to I-95. Next slide, please. So we have these are some of the other projects. Highway A1A has been redone up just past 510. It's then going to be resurfaced from Sand Dollar Way, which is about a mile north of 510, all the way up to the bridge. And then you're going to have a resurfacing project south from the city of Vero Beach down to the St. Lucie County line. There's some other resurfacing and sidewalk trails. Next slide, please. This is going to be a really cool project, and we talked about this before. I think they're going to start the work in 2027. And this is the new Sebastian Inlet Bridge. So what you see here, it's still going to be 2 lanes. There's going to be a much wider bike lane. In addition, there is going to be what they call shared use path. So you're going to actually have a concrete barrier that a car can't shouldn't be able to go through, where people can walk. And then they have these areas off to the side where you can stop and look over into the either west over to the lagoon if you're walking along, or you're biking, you stop, or east over to the ocean. It's going to be a really nice project.
Vice Mayor, are they still planning on keeping the existing bridge to the, I guess it would be the right of the perspective while they build the second bridge?
Yes, that is correct. They'll get 1 lane done, and then they'll, as I understand it, knock down 1 lane of the old bridge, and then yes, there will be no impediment to traffic in terms of going down to 1 lane. At least that's what we've been told to understand. Next slide, please. So this is the total funding that we get. As you can see, most of this comes from the federal government. It's particularly high compared to other years because of Sebastian Inlet Bridge at $129 million. Next slide. So this is the major projects from a map perspective, with red being the highway projects and green being the maintenance projects that are going to take place. In particular, beside that 510 project, down at the bottom of the map is the Oslo Road new interchange with I-95, which will be a big help to those of our colleagues that live in South Indian River County. And then 82nd Avenue going north and south, that's going to be constructed and probably going to end up resulting in a fair amount of development out there. Next slide, please. And so these are the priority highway projects. I won't go through all of them. My purpose in putting this in is that any of our residents want to look at this online, it will be available. And again, it's been mostly rolled from the previous year. The one exception is the priority one at 45th Street, which goes through the Gifford community. The decision was made by the MPO that this should have been done years ago and somehow got pushed back, and we moved it up to the front to get that complete street retrofit done. Next one. And these are the highway projects and then the various transit projects. The transit priorities are to create a new hub. Probably very few people in this community ride the local transit, but the way it works is you have all the bus routes meet in several hubs in the county, and it's designed from a schedule perspective. They all come in at the same time, and then you can do a transfer that goes in. It's a pretty cool system, and the county has gotten accolades from the state. It's considered one of the best local bus transit county systems in the state of Florida, and from a cost per passenger mile, it has generally been either the cheapest or the second cheapest. Sometimes the transit system in Gainesville, which has a lot of traffic because University of Florida tends to be higher. Next slide, priority bicycle and pedestrian projects. Again, I'll just leave those up there so that if somebody wants to take a look at this online. I don't know if we have any more slides or not. Yep, that's it. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the Vice Mayor?
Vice Mayor, do any issues relating to Brightline, its path, its stations come within the MPO's province?
No, they do not. And at least at this point, I guess in theory, somebody could come up with a project to try to reach out to Brightline and get them to build a station here. I think that's extremely unlikely for two reasons. The most important reason is if they put a station here, that slows them down even more. The reason why they have thought about doing the Stewart station is if you look at the way Brightline, the track runs, when it gets to Stewart, it does one of these and then goes across the bridge of St. Lucie River. So they have to slow down anyway. They can't maintain even a 70-mile-an-hour speed. If you're there when they're crossing the St. Lucie River, they're probably only going about 30, 35 miles an hour. So that made sense for them to do that. Up here, they're getting some speed. In my opinion, when I try to eyeball it, the fastest speed I ever saw them going, my guesstimate was about 70 miles an hour. So that would slow them down. The second thing, which I would have a problem with, every station that they built, they want the taxpayer to pay for it. They don't want to put a nickel into that Stewart station, which is now why it's gotten backed up so much, because I think there's been a turnover in the City of Stewart Council, and the new people are objecting to kicking money. You know, Brightline refers to themselves as the only privately owned railroad, passenger railroad in the country. I would push back very heavy on that. I could identify at least $250 million of taxpayer money spent on stations on their behalf.
Did you include within your question like grade crossings? I think also from time to time members of the public have raised the notion that, and it's not specific to Brightline, but also the freight trains that prevent people from the other side of the tracks from coming through. So does MPO have any discussion or persuasive ability to approach Florida Rail, the FRA, and say, like, let's revisit the grade crossings to allow for access across the tracks, east and west?
Again, it comes down to if we want to pay for it. Florida East Coast Rail has, as far as I know, legally, we can't force them to reduce number of grade crossings. So, you know, it's interesting you brought that up because Aviation Boulevard, as you know, going eastbound comes to the right by the hospital. So I raised the issue in the MPO about building a tunnel. And the type of tunnel I had in mind was only one lane. If you think about, you go up north here in A1A, Disney has a small tunnel. And my suggestion was to build a tunnel that only emergency vehicles could go through. Oh, I got responses from 2 of the county commissioners that were previous public safety people said that was totally unnecessary because somebody that was in an ambulance and the traffic got backed up there and they couldn't get through, or God forbid there was a freight train that was stuck there, which I've seen happen many times since I've lived here and have only lived here 11 years, that wouldn't be a problem, that they would be maintained, their viability by paramedics. I have a lot of respect for paramedics and EMTs, but the idea that you would feel comfortable having somebody sitting in an ambulance when they could be inside the hospital in the emergency room, I thought, frankly, was absolutely ridiculous. But the consultant thought that was a good idea to explore, and I got shot down on it. So.
All right. Well, thank you for your efforts. Anything else on this? I know that this is available on the MPO, the county website, but in our weekly, I think it'd be a good idea to highlight this and provide the link. I don't think we need to upload it to our website, but provide the link so that the public can have a look. These are going to be some substantial projects, and I'm sure we've all heard comments from folks on why are you working on 2 bridges at the same time, which when I was on MPO was told would never happen. We'll never work on 2 bridges at the same time, but things happen. So I think it's beneficial for the public to know what's coming their way, and it's comforting for me to hear that they're still planning on having the existing bridge over Sebastian Inlet, because that would do some very interesting things to traffic flows on A1A north and south, which would affect us, particularly in season. So thank you. Anything else for Vice Mayor on this? All right, time for the call to the audience. Anybody in the audience have anything on their mind that they wish to explore? All right, there being nothing, we'll see you at 8:30 on Thursday, July 24th. And have a safe and pleasant rest of the month. We are adjourned.